What's up? What's up? Welcome to the market recap. Today is September 30th, 2025. So no trades for me last night. The main trade I was looking for was this Swiss yen. We did get a breakdown. We were looking for the pullback. We didn't quite get enough of a pullback really to any kind of value to take this trade, unfortunately. The overall bias of the trade played out, just didn't pull back to value. Same thing with pretty much most of these yens. Singapore yen, minor pullback a little bit more than Swiss yen, but still not to 0.382, kind of to the value area for us to be able to take this trade short. And then Euro yen was just kind of weird with its price action. Wasn't super feeling it, but I mean, it was an option. And the only really other option was this CAD yen. I think at the start of my watch list yesterday, I had my fib levels drawn from the very tops here on the 1 hour and the 4 hour, which I think is okay. That's how I would draw them the majority of the time. But I also think you could have potentially drawn them at this 10-minute time frame, a breakdown, retest of both of the 50 and 200, and then that follow through right there. I think you could technically have drawn them from there as well, based off of the 10-minute trend. And from that perspective, we did to hit like 0.382, so we hit the value area to be able to take this trade. And then you had like 3 different opportunities here with price kind of retracing off of it to get in. So I didn't really view this trade like this until after the fact. I had kind of written it off mentally because I was really waiting for Swiss yen to pull back. But I think this could potentially be a mistrade just due to that. A 4-to-1 position sizing wouldn't really fit, but a 2-to-1 would have fit pretty nicely. So potential mistrade. That was pretty much it. I mean, I was kind of watching these Swisses, but not really. I really was wanting a larger breakout here on the 1 hour time on this Swiss, and we kind of got it yesterday, so there might be an opportunity on this come in tonight's session. And then Euro Swiss was another kind of trade I was watching. But again, I didn't like the horizontal level here. I didn't like the trading into the EMAs. I saw the kind of like 1 hour price action, nice breakup. I kind of flagged this to just see what would happen. But this trade played out. I mean, it's essentially a 1 hour CBO, kind of the same thing on your 4 hour, 10-minute ACB, like strong breakup, pullback, entry off of that 200 EMA probably, and then a follow through. Depending on management style, though, this could potentially have just been a break-even trade if I was to take it, because likely I would have taken it probably here, and with an entry off of there. As soon as it broke past this 10-minute 50, I would have clipped these lows. So I likely would have taken a small loss when it broke back down and tapped that. So but I had to re-enter the trade a second time. And currently, I really don't like to re-enter trades. It's not my style. Either way, that was my session for the night. I'm going to go make my watch list for the upcoming session, and I'll catch you guys here in a minute. All right, and we're back. I've got 2 kind of main groups. I have a yen group still, and then I have an Aussie group, and then kind of like a random Kiwi CAD. For the yen group, I don't know if we'll get pullbacks for any of these really in tonight's session. They're starting to line up to be some nice like 4 hour swing trades, right? Like if you look at this on a 4 hour layout, Euro yen has essentially become an IBO. I think this is probably has the better chance tonight of maybe pulling back and giving us an entry. So kind of wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, playing wave 5, right? So it'd be an IBO on our 4 hour, 1 hour time frame, depending on where the EMAs are, roughly be a CBO. Not really going to be an ACB by the time it pulls back, though. It's going to have to break the 200 for us to be able to get to value to take the trade, I think, unless we draw our fib level from that high. But the problem is if we draw it from this high, we're not really protected from anything. Like we don't really have EMAs to protect us or anything like that. So we'll have to see how this takes a little while to pull back and the EMAs have a chance to fall to line up a little bit better, then this might have potential. So we'll see. I mean, if you kind of took an entry off of 0.5, we can get a pullback to there, 15 pips or so, 4 to 1. I mean, something like this could work, I think. But as it is right now, you're not really that well protected at that point. But if we go to a 2 to 1 position, I think this might have more of a chance of playing out. So we'll see. But most of these yens are pretty similar. Dollar yen, kind of looking at the same, right? Wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, playing a wave 5, kind of CBO. I don't love how on the 4 hour, though, it kind of looks like an ACB bouncing off this 200. But I think it's an option. So something I'll watch and see what price looks like by the time it pulls back to this kind of value area. And then, so primarily the only two I think the probably give entries tonight might be dollar yen or euro yen. These other yens are lining up to start being kind of ACB-esque. Swiss yen, it has potential, I mean, I guess, to also give an entry as like a CBO, a 1 hour, 4 hour IBO, you know, kind of a similar setup to yesterday. Yesterday was a nicer setup, I think, but this still has potential to be a valid trade. And then Singapore yen, it needs a pretty substantial pullback at this point, but it's a CBO on the 4 hour. Now it's broken both the EMAs. So likely when this pulls back, it'll be an ACB on the 1 hour and like an IBO on the daily. So this is starting to shape up to be a nice kind of 4 hour swing trade, right? Similar here with pound yen, a nice kind of breakdown, broke both the EMAs. So it's a CBO on the 4 hour. Hasn't quite broken the daily 50, but still it's starting to, right? So almost classified as an IBO-ish. It's still kind of bearish. It did have the candle kind of close below it on the day. But by the time this pulls back on a 1 hour time frame, I'm going to assume it's also going to be a little ACB-esque, if not CBO-esque. It just depends. But all of these kind of have like yen bias. So I'll be watching them and see how they develop, right? Some of them look better yesterday, but unfortunately we didn't get the pullbacks yesterday. So there's still some opportunities on them, I think, tonight. As far as Aussie goes, this Aussie Swiss, interesting. You know, you have this nice kind of push upwards, pullback wise. It kind of needs a pullback to almost 0.5 fib for it to have any kind of stop protection here. So I don't know. At that point, it's going to break most of your EMAs in your 10-minute. It's possible you could look at this as like an IBO on the daily, a 4 hour CBO, and a 1 hour ACB. That could be potential. So I'll watch it. Aussie knock, I think, is probably the cleanest trade of the night. But I don't know if I could trade it due to spreads. So I got it flagged. We'll see. I mean, spreads right now are pretty astronomical on this, so not really tradable. But a real clean kind of wave 1 break up, looking for a pullback to like 0.382 or a little further, maybe 0.5, right? CBO on your 4 hour, either CBO or ACB, depending on what it looks like when it pulls back on the 1 hour, IBO on your daily time frame. So it looks pretty good other than the fact that it's an exotic pair and has a crazy ass spread, but price action's nice. Aussie dollar, potential, right? Like I think you could probably draw something in here of it, you know, breaking this kind of trend upwards, maybe play kind of CBO off 0.382. I don't love the 4 hour price action though, is my only kind of thing about it. But there's not really a lot of great options tonight, so I flag it, see how this thing develops as the night goes on. And then Euro Aussie, similar to kind of Aussie dollar. We've been talking about this pair for a little while, right? Like I like the daily, and it's looking like it's going to follow through here now, right? Kind of like a daily IBO. So I think there's potential to take this on a retrace kind of as like a 1 hour CBO, but it's also still kind of like a 4 hour CBO. So it's weird. If you just remove the indicators and EMAs, though, you do have a clear lower low on your 4 hour, and your 1 hour pulling back would give you essentially a lower high on both of those. So it'd look good from that perspective. So it has short potential. So pretty much all these, this Aussie group is playing Aussie strength. The yen group's playing yen strength. And then this random Kiwi CAD pair I have here, you kind of have to ignore this market rollover spikiness. This is just all due to spreads. And from like a far view like this, it looks a little too tight. But if you kind of zoom in, God dang. If you zoom in, it looks a little bit better. But it's also kind of a tight position for at 11 pips right now. But at a night where there's not a whole lot, and this is already sort of kind of at value, and we've been waiting on Kiwi pairs to break out. I mean, Kiwi dollar is sort of kind of similar, but Aussie Kiwi obviously hasn't broken out. Kiwi Swiss is kind of similar. It's had like a real minor break and then a break back below. Euro Kiwis had a little bit of a break, but not like a nice like full break. It's very, tight price action here. It's hard to trade that. Kiwi yen's looking like, this double bottom on your 4 hour daily time frame. So I would anticipate like a push from here. Pound Kiwi, similar, right? Like a kind of a shallow break. So out of all these Kiwi pairs that have had a little bit of a break, I think this Kiwi CAD has had obviously the bigger of the breaks. Still kind of tight. But if playing this Kiwi bias that we've been waiting for a few weeks, this might be the first kind of opportunity to play it bullish. So I'll be watching it. I might take a shot at it since there's not a whole lot else tonight. Need some pretty big pullbacks on your yens. Aussies look okay, but also not that great. They're options though. This Kiwi CAD, this double bottom, right? Break up, so higher high. If it respects this previous high, as well as you kind of have support over here, and that lines up with the support that we have talked about in the past on this 4 hour time frame that's held pretty well. So you have decent support right here as well. So that's an option. Still waiting on all the Kiwi pairs as we just kind of ran through CAD Swiss. Still looking good for a long, just waiting for a breakout here. Dollar CAD's just been moving sideways, not really too much going on here at the moment. Still kind of anticipating maybe playing an ACB off this $200. Singapore, same as dollar CAD. Pound ZAR, still just kind of waiting to see if this will break up, what happens. Euro dollar, this is kind of this doesn't really matter. Or does this matter anymore? Euro CAD, still waiting for a breakdown at some point on this. Either it could be an IBO at this point, you kind of break this trend you see in here, or a full-on CBO would be nice. And then Euro Pound, at this point, kind of waiting for a CBO on this. Should be an IBO on the 4 hour. Line up pretty well. Still kind of sitting at these previous highs on the daily time frame, right? To some point. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got. I think more so than anything, I kind of prefer one of these yens to pull back. I'd take one of these. So they still all have really nice 4 hour time frames. The most of them, like Euro yen still has a pretty nice 4 hour. Swiss yen still has a pretty nice 4 hour. And then Singapore yen, pound yen, all have pretty nice 4-hour time frames. So either way, that's all I got. And I'll catch you guys tomorrow. See ya.